Welcome to Present Poetry, a podcast where we sit back, relax, and enjoy some poets of the past and present. I'm your host, Erin Crittenden, and before we get started on this week's episode, I want to remind you that all of the material used in this podcast is either public domain or used with permission from the author or the author's estate. It's a fun time for all ages, so sit back, relax, and get ready to hear this week's featured poet. This week's featured poet is Yichielle Devendra. Yichielle Devendra is a teacher. She loves traveling and has lived and worked in Asia and North America. She is constantly inspired by nature and animals and has her home in Canada with her family and her cats. We are reading a few of her poems that she submitted to us through the form at presentpoetry.com. This poem is called After This Evening, I. Soon the day will set itself on fire. The familiar sky will wear lipstick on its whole face, erasing blue. Clouds will morph, become dragons spilling into the lake. The molten sun, now crimson liquid, will mix with ripples in the water. A lone crane, stupefied, will stare straight ahead, like a twig with eyes. Birds will leave the tree above, escaping like robbers with silhouettes, leaving it all behind. The air will reek of the evening. White bloom will colonize the night. This window is mine. This patch of earth with its fallen stars, its constellation of Orion. Now jasmines on the darkened green, dark matter, which is nothing but something, shall complete its witnessing. I open my arms outward, dust out solitude, shake out sorrow which has grown a comet's tail of desperate dust, from pain to dust eternally blazing, licking at life, hankering and hovering, as ferocious as a flame. This poem is called The Story of Spring. So spring fooled around, with warm winds played on the shining white ice, urging fidgety chipmunks out of dark hiding places, beguiling green bugs and red birds, creatures unbound to the concept of time, beings awakening, merely uninterested in war. Spring after spring the earth keeps giving, each year reminding us of kindness and abundance. But Ludendorff, 1918, the White Army, 1919, Italian Spring, 1941, the Chinese Spring Offensive, 1951. The human animal plots and schemes for power, unlike a sudden robin that hops out on your frozen garden. A bud, just a hint of smiling pink, adorns a branch. A soft squirrel looks for an old hidden nut in the dying leaves of a season gone by. In her room, my friend from Ukraine dreams of her old home and happy families. She sees the golden sky, hears voices, but she cannot understand the words. Her skin remembers the feel of the light touch of air and summer on the beach, until the threats and the shooting later. The Romans named March after the god of war. Mars, hot and blazing, the same Mars that fired Alexander to invade the Balkans, then India, in the perfect beauty of springtime. My friend looks out of her window, remembering her husband who paid with his life, making Molotov cocktails. In the long grasses, her lover lay dead. In the camp, a therapist told her she must wear lipstick and continue to smile no matter what life does to you. I will pray, she says, although now she doesn't pray to her usual God, but lights candles for the Dalai Lama. This poem is called Halley's Comet and Grandfather. Since there is nothing left of him now, let me, from that old broken house, We walked through falling darkness to the edge of the field. The crickets were still chirping. Star fires had begun to burn in the distance. We heard fireflies flashing. I saw with my child eyes. Halley's Comet, a sideways ghost on a black canvas. Viens-tu du ciel profond d'où sors-tu de l'abîme? Trawling the heavens, and it's never ending. The pomegranate dusk could not unentangle itself. Like the genomes we shared, the blood bridge, our aliveness I hoped would keep blooming, holding his gnarled hand. He was seeing it for the second time. The salt of transience on the wound of my adoring him. I would lose him. 75 years had passed, and yet he was still a child. Laugh lines like ancient maps, life and light, sorrow and smiles, now lived under the crinkles in his oldness. Happy at a dust giant, my Orion. Please, I prayed, to no one, yet every tree and stone listened. Let me hold on to this wonder. Earth passing through this giant's tail again, I may never know again. The merry-go-round of our infinite fragility, love always unrooting us. I couldn't even know in a month Chernobyl would burn. Moments like these, mere melting rubies on my tongue. This poem is called Email During a Pandemic. These days, just attach me to your notion of happiness. I will FaceTime, and once planes are available, someday, let us use our flashlights and go feed the cats in Donghu Park. Let our shoes soak up the wet grass as we wander. You can laugh at my love of leaves. Me, always chopping morning glory to be mixed up with those boxes of grated coconut you hoard in the freezer. The Bluetooth is playing Don McLean. Remember New York? Remember Glasgow? All those train trips, and I was always hungry. It came with no itineraries, this life that was assigned to us. So sometimes it's like sans maps, sans schedules, sans warning. We have buried the billions of seconds. Time suffers instant death, billions of uncountable, lives, then dies incessantly. It is only now that something is happening. Like now I am looking at your face on my phone. Then you say goodbye and click. Time's thief just stole that too. For next time I will think, now, like this. Focus. Don't let the ticking of the clock distract you, nor the sound of cars on Shuanglong de Deo, nor the scuttling of that bug on the ceiling. Can you hear it? The second lowest branch of the palm that rubs against our bedroom window. It moves with a sweeping sound. Wait, look over the kitchen balcony. Turn the camera. Can you see it? It is clearing seconds, scattering moments like holes in a leaf reflected on the wall. Love prevails, it says. Say it softly. Love prevails. Softer, please, just in case time's thief is still lurking. This poem is called Piano and Lessons Learned. Sometimes I even think of you, Blue Lotus, Manel, floating like a new moon solar eclipse in the tear pond drop of my eye. Your name like a slow waltz of the water, where your nonchalance. Wei Wu Wei and me escaping the deluge, your storm's heavy anger like jet streams, pain downpours I had practiced the art of eclipsing from. Me the new moon, and you a sun in a star factory. Futile shrieks like miniature solar flares. My mind hovers over a piano bench, crescendo. I remember chaos, the synonyms of grief. But one day you played the Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, and I kicked, in your volatile sphere. Tears dripped into my world. Sorrowful salt. Its electrical energy a hologram of hysteric unwillingness to be there. Your absence had at least taught me to be nothing on this earth of too much pain. Thank you for Chopin, the mazurka, like Beethoven's Elise. for Elise. After all, you learned to prevail in a minor key, and later, all the other shining mansions of excuses I built just for you. Trauma had unhinged. Negligence had undone. But love that lay like a battered doll on a rainy sidewalk. Slow, slower, rallentando, retrando. But had you forgotten? Did you forget? Are you forgetting? I was your prelude. We may have been dancing together in endless spaces, over millennia. In a place beyond memory of stars, I will meet you again, sforzando piano, where a fugue sleeps in patience and waits to be born. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Present Poetry Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, feel free to like us, leave a review, or share us on social media. If you are a poet or you know someone who is, we would love to hear from you. You can reach out to us or submit your work through our website, which is www.present-poetry.com. Again, that is www.present-poetry.com. We can't wait to hear from you.